Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim and Alhamdulillah wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu, brothers and sisters and friends. And today we're continuing with the episode, The Absurdity of Life Without Allah. So, we were talking about purpose, and we said that, look, when we create things like a chair or a table, we attribute purpose to these things. For example, the chair, its main purpose is to maintain my weight. Now, if we attribute purpose, which is a sign of perfection, if you like, because if something has purpose, it's more perfect than something that doesn't have purpose. So, from this perspective, if we attribute purpose to something like a chair, what about ourselves? Aren't we more perfect than a chair? Are we just a rearrangement of carbon and molecules? Surely there's something a little bit more special about ourselves. Like we have a consciousness or a soul, or we think and feel. Chairs don't think and feel. So if we're going to attribute purpose to a chair that's inanimate, then surely it makes sense we should attribute purpose to our own selves. To deny purpose is self-defeating. It means we have to deny all of the science, the medical discoveries, the fact that we want world peace, because individuals who discover new medicines, individuals who call for world peace, individuals who fight for justice, individuals who do the science so you're able to actually watch me now. All of these things were done because people had a certain purpose to do these things. So to deny purpose for your own existence, for your underlying existence, in a way, is like denying everything else, because this is how we survive. Now, this may not be a concrete, rational argument, but it does wake up in your mind and in your heart the idea that you should entertain the fact that this life is not a joke, that maybe there is true purpose. However, brothers and sisters and friends, some atheists and some agnostics, or whatever you want to call them, they argue, well, I have purpose for my life. I want to be a doctor. I want to be an engineer. Yes, fair enough. But isn't that a bit what I would call delusional? You're attributing purpose for what you want to achieve and be in your life, but you're ignoring the very purpose for your underlying existence, for who you are. Isn't that really saying, let's pretend to have purpose? Think about it. I want to be a doctor. I truly believe I want to cure people from cancer. But my own existence is based on nothing. I mean, there's a bit of a contradiction here. You're attributing some kind of strong, intense purpose for your life, but the basis for your life and your underlying existence is just nothing. For me, I think that's equivalent of saying, let's pretend to have purpose. Like life is one big theatrical display. The next point, brothers and sisters and friends, is that without Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there is no ultimate meaning. No ultimate meaning. Think about this. If I, you, everybody else are just, I don't know, rearrangement of carbon, molecules, some atoms put together, some quarks, then does it really matter? If you are just made of matter, I am just made of matter, and that's how we reduce our existence, even our feelings and emotions is just based on matter, then the question is, does it really matter? Of course it matters, you're a human being, but that's being sentimental about things. And that sentimentality, from an atheistic, scientific, crude scientific point of view, can just be reduced to a molecule, an atom, some electrochemical firings in the brain. So if that's it really, then stop being sentimental. It's irrational. it's not scientific. So from this perspective, brothers and sisters and friends, if we're just matter, then it doesn't really matter. If our lives just end in the grave and we become, for example, worm buffet, we become a buffet for the worms, then what difference is it that I spent my life trying to call people to Islam, or you spent your life trying to call for world peace, or we came together as a collective and called for justice, or you studied so much in your life to cure cancer? All of these things. What do these things really matter? What meaning do they really have, brothers and sisters? Do they have any ultimate underlying meaning? If your life is just going to end in the grave, you're just going to perish? Does it really have any underlying value or meaning? Of course not. And this is why our human existence has no meaning if we're just matter. If you can reduce my thoughts, emotions, feelings, perspective, ideas, self, consciousness, the fact that I love, if you could reduce all of that to just a molecule, then consider this analogy. Imagine next to me there is a chocolate bunny, very cute, tall chocolate bunny. I take my gun, and before I shoot the bunny, it says rearrangement of carbon, and then I shoot it, bang! And then I reload. I take the gun and I put it to my head. And then I say, or it says above me somewhere, rearrangement of carbon. I pull the trigger and my brains are splattered on this table. Now, as a human being, think deeply within yourself. Who would you cry for? The chocolate bunny? Oh, unless you're a chocoholic, of course. Or myself. Everybody would say that you will cry for me. Why? You're being sentimental though. The bunny is a rearrangement of carbon, and so am I. And even you being upset with me shooting myself is just based upon matter, rearrangement of carbon, and some chemicals. So the reason I'm postulating this analogy for you, brothers and sisters and friends, is to show how absurd life is without Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If we're just matter, it doesn't really matter. Our lives have ultimate meaning if we base our lives on a creator that created us and that loves us and that gave us a purpose in life. And that's why, brothers and sisters and friends, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us a sense of meaning in the Quran in many places. For example, in Quran chapter 32 verse 18, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, then is he who was a believer like the one who is defiantly disobedient? They are not equal. These verses and many others indicate that there is some kind of meaning, an ultimate meaning to our own existence, and we have to choose between the right meaning and the wrong meaning in our lives, which is belief or disbelief. Also, brothers and sisters and friends, life is absurd without Allah because without Allah, we don't have explanations for things. We can't explain how this universe came into existence. We can't explain the fact that I have an internal subjective experience. I have a consciousness. We can't explain any of these things. In fact, life becomes quite absurd that everything is based almost upon a certain form of nothingness, or we just don't know. And it is no wonder Professor Wood, a teaching fellow at Fordham University, he says, atheism, which is basically life without Allah, quite literally explains nothing. Atheism doesn't explain the existence of our universe or the fact that our universe is finely tuned, designed. It doesn't explain the origin and diversity of life. It fails to explain the rise of consciousness or the fact that we are moral beings or the fact that we have a sense of objective morality. We have a sense that killing an innocent 5-year-old is objectively morally wrong. It's not based on just my subjective opinion or the collective subjective opinions of many, many different people. Rather, it transcends us. It's outside of our mind and feelings. morals are objective in that way? How can we justify that innate, intuitive feeling that morals are real and things are actually ultimately bad and ultimately good and objectively bad and objectively good? How can we explain the universe? How can we explain, brothers and sisters, the fact that there is a sense of what it is to be like me having a strawberry? That internal subjective experience of having a sweet fruit, a strawberry, is internal to me. Scientists will never be able to find out what it is like for me to eat a strawberry. They may have neurochemical patterns in the brain that indicate I'm eating something or something sweet, but they can never tell what it is like for me to have something sweet or to eat a strawberry. How can we explain that internal subjective experience? As Professor Nagel says, what is it like for a bat to be a bat? And the point he was trying to make here is there is something internal to a conscious organism that cannot be fathomed, understood. What other words can I use? Explained using the crude materialistic paradigm. If it's just all chemicals and neurons firing, then we can't really explain these things. But we can't deny them because they're so true. There is a what it is like for me, Hamza, to eat a strawberry, or what it is like for Hamza to fall in love. These are real things, brothers and sisters and friends. So really, from an atheist worldview, it doesn't explain anything. And that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in chapter 52, verse 36, or did they create the heavens and the earth? Nay, bel la yuqinun. Nay, indeed, they have no firm belief. Without Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there is no true happiness. I'm telling you, you can't be happy without Allah. Full stop, turn the page. Game over. Now, why am I saying this with such passion? Actually, let me give you an analogy. Imagine I sedated you. Okay? I put in the injection, you're sedated. Then you wake up after a while and you find yourself on the best airlines. First class. You have a gourmet food. You have all of your best entertainment. You have access to a phone. You have amazing scenery, sunset, sunrise, the Alps. I mean, it's bliss. You have a foot massage, a back massage, a face massage, the most comfortable flat bed you've ever experienced in your life, as if you are sleeping on a cloud. Brothers and sisters, this is your experience. This is your experience. But the question is, are you going to be happy? You're not going to be happy. After 5 minutes, after the immediate type of happiness, temporary happiness, after 5 minutes you're going to say, I don't have my passport. How did I get here? Where am I going? What am I supposed to do? How is this any different from life? We're just thrown into existence, brothers and sisters and friends. And we claim to be happy, but yet we haven't answered the questions. How did I get here? What am I supposed to do? And where am I going? And that's why people who claim true happiness without answering these questions, which ultimately leads to understanding Allah, these people are not truly happy. They're drunk. They're drunk with the world. And they only start thinking about their life seriously when, I don't know, she dumped me, my Facebook is down, or my internet's not working. Brothers and sisters and friends, it's no wonder Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran in chapter 20, verse 124, and whoever turns away from my remembrance, indeed he will have a depressed life.